Alexa. Phenomenal.
Ha ha! Hey, how are you?
Amazing, fantastic. I'm so glad to see you right now. Look at you, pink here.
I know. Well, you know, my new motto is when in lockdown, go pink. So yeah, I did it.
Philosophy.
Yeah, I did it 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it was just mad. I'm like, yeah, I quite like the old pink.
And
Never
why
done
not?
it before. Yeah.
And why not, indeed?
I know life is a bit strange at the moment, so anything we can do to entertain ourselves and stuff, yeah, it's got to do.
Absolutely. You see, I've been thinking about that whole thing, and of course, it's sad that people are passing away, and there's that side to what's happening. But as freelancers and as people working in our industry, we're used to an environment of constantly having to transition and deal with unknown circumstances.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, we are so lucky to work in our industry with home studios, and I think actually it'll be interesting kind of to see, you know, what happens at the end of all this. But I think there are lots of positives that are going to come out of this, and you know, things like I just had a session this morning with a client in Milan. You know, like, and I think there are a lot of, you know, production houses, production companies, producers who are now going to be much more open to using voice actors in home studios.
Yes.
Which means we can stay in our pajamas longer.
Yeah, I'm not naked from the waist down. Just to clarify, I don't do that much. No, but I'm really glad that you could join us today. And if it's okay with you, I'm just going to carry on and just roll through because I have some amazing questions I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
I've been a fan of yours for a while, turning up at your events, and the energy that you create, bringing people together is just phenomenal, especially in an industry where it's often quite challenging to break into it and figure out where people are and all of that kind of stuff, as you know. So can you please just tell us a bit about how it started and what you do?
Okay, so my background is that I'm an actor, and I went to drama school and came out of drama school, found this course about voiceovers, went along just to kind of check it out, and really from the first moment I was in the studio in front of a microphone, I knew that this was where I was meant to be, and that was a really kind of powerful moment for me. But back then, this is 18 years ago, there was no information out there. There was no help and advice. There were a few people working in the industry, a lot fewer than now. And they were all keeping stum because they didn't want more people coming into the industry. Back then you couldn't have a home studio and you had to have an agent. So it was a tricky industry to get into. And I really I pounded the pavements, I banged on doors, and I was denied for a long, long time, but I kept going. And then I finally kind of managed to barge my way in. And once I got in, it was like, wow, this is the best job in the world. And I love voiceovers and it's amazing. And so what happened with me, there were a couple of things. So I went through the whole feast and famine thing, which is tough, and I think you know most of us go through that at some point. And I wanted to figure out what it was why that was happening, and realized that it was the business side of being a voiceover artist that I was, I wasn't so good at. Right. So I then went and learned loads about business, about marketing, kind of threw myself into that, and I really enjoyed it. And so then when was it? 2013, I went for a drink with 3 other voiceover artists in West London in Richmond. And I thought, wow, this is really useful. Like, we should do this more often. Because at that point, there were no events, there was no training, there was nothing happening in the UK. And I just started a little monthly meetup group called the West London Voiceover Artist Meetup Group, which is a really catchy name. It's a terrible name, but and it just snowballed, and we just go to the pub, and people from different parts of London started getting in touch with me and saying, do you have to live in West London? Like, if I live in North London, can I come? And I'm like, yeah, anyone can come. And so, yeah, it just grew and grew and grew. And then I decided to have it in central London. I changed the name to the Voiceover Network beginning of 2014. And it was a regular kind of monthly meetup. And then I decided I wanted to make the networking better. So I wanted to bring more agents and producers and casting directors in the room. So then we started charging, having speakers, and end of 2014, I looked at the industry, and at that point the industry was in a really weird place. You know, lots of people coming into the industry, people in the industry getting upset. There was pay-to-play sites misbehaving. It was a real kind of melting pot, and I decided I could either carry on doing what I was doing, which was kind of bumbling along a bit, or I could try and make a real difference. And so I decided to be crazy and make a difference, and I launched the VoiceOver Network as a membership organisation at the beginning of 2015 in order to help support and strengthen the voiceover industry. So it's been five crazy years, bit of a roller coaster ride, but here we are.
Fantastic, that's phenomenal. I love what you've just shared, and because I've been doing coaching and so on, and everyone that comes my way, I just say that if you want to connect with people, if you want some tips and all that kind of stuff, and to keep your growth and development going,
yes,
check out what you're doing, check out the events, talk to the people there. They're lovely. Like, you had your celebration not too long ago.
Yes, our 5th birthday party at the end of January, yes, which you came to. That was in Camden in London. It was so fun, wasn't it?
And the thing that you notice is as soon as you step in, everyone's just trying to say hello to you, and it's just so rare. I mean, I come from the music industry, and it's often very cutthroat and very, it's a very hard, tough industry. I found being a VO, a voice actor and so on, people are often recommending me to people, and I'm getting work, and it's just this energy of, I can help you, you help me, and we build this real sense of community, and I love that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think voiceover artists, we're a special type of person, and I think in order to be successful voiceover artists, you have to be bubbly, you have to be outgoing, because you have to have big personality. So you get us all, and also we work on our own quite a lot. So you get us all together, and we're like, yay, all very friendly and help each other, which is good.
I wanted to continue along that line and ask you about marketing.
Yes.
Because a lot of people come to me and they often feel it's just about having a great voice, and we know that's not the case. There's so much else that goes on in terms of building your network, building your clients, keeping your existing clients happy, and that kind of thing. What tips would you recommend in terms of marketing and getting work, essentially?
Oh gosh, that's a big question.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, in terms of kind of marketing, I think well, there are lots of things that you need to kind of get into. I think a key, this is something that I share sometimes, and I think a lot of the time voiceover artists worry about selling themselves, selling their voice, and that can stop them dead in their tracks. Like, I don't want to sell me, and actually our voice is it's such an intimate part of us that when we're doing voiceovers, it can feel quite intimate. So that's a difficult thing to sell. And often that's what stops voiceover artists from going out and promoting themselves and marketing themselves, because they feel like they don't want to be salesy, they don't want to sell, and they don't want to get rejection, because rejection is another big part of it. But in terms of marketing, and actually just one step back, that word just means building relationships. Oh.
Sorry, my bad.
That's all right. So the word marketing just means building relationships. So that straight away is like, okay. Right, that's easier to cope with. But when people talk about going out and marketing themselves, and obviously there's lots of information about marketing. I could talk about marketing till, forever. What I say to voiceover artists, which helps, is you're not selling anything. You're actually helping people. And you just want to switch it the other way round. So right now, if you think about it, there are producers and casting directors out there, and probably agents as well, and they need your voice. They need a voice just like yours. They may lose their job because they can't find you. Okay, so just that's what I like to get people to think about. So think about that producer sat at their desk, desperately trying to find a voice that sounds just like yours. Your job is to find them.
Sounds like
How much better is that? How much more fun is that? So instead of you feeling like you have to sell your voice, you have to try and get more work because you need to, pay the bills. Yes, we all know that that's going on. But just put that aside for 1 minute and try and think of it like your mission is to help people, and your mission is to find those producers who need your voice right now. So then when you look at your marketing, you look at it in a completely different way. Instead of feeling like, I need work, can you employ me, all that kind of, instead it's like, I have a valuable service, a wonderful, skill that I have trained my life for, and can I help you? Can I be of service? Can I solve your problem? Because actually that's what we are as business owners, as voiceover artists. We are problem solvers. So if you can get into that mindset, it just helps you to feel like, okay, so every day your mission is to contact 10 producers or 10, production companies. So set yourself targets. Like, okay, so let's do 10 a day to start with. Okay, so you go on Google, you go on the social media, LinkedIn, whatever, whether you email them or pick up the phone. I do recommend picking up the phone. I know people get scared of that, but and just reach out to them. And if you can do that, every day, if you can just set yourself like regular every day, like I'm going to go and help, I'm going to try and find somebody who's looking, who I can solve their problem. That I think is the way to look at marketing yourself as a voice actor.
I love that. And that works across the board, whatever you're trying to sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really quite simple. How can I solve your problem? And then it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Just get out there.
Yeah. I remember speaking to a friend of mine years ago, and she had a lovely kind of analogy about kind of marketing, and I really like this. She talks about collecting the no's.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's another way of just looking at it differently, because it is difficult, and I know that, rejection in our industry is something that we all have to deal with. It's tough. It is tough. But if you can be collecting the no's, every no is getting you closer to a yes. And the more no's you get, the more likely you are to get a yes. So that's another quite nice way to look at it.
No, absolutely. There's no need to take it personal. Because often it's because of their own situation. Yes. And I feel we often look at things from our own perspective and don't take enough time to potentially look at it from the other person's viewpoint.
Yeah, and I often have people, in the network who say, they'll come to me and they say, oh, I've contacted this certain producer who does a lot of work with us. I've contacted them, but they haven't cast me in anything. Maybe they don't like me. And I'm like, no, you don't know that. It's probably because they just don't have a role at the moment that's right for you. So that's the thing. So you do need to continue to contact people. And I know, I speak to a lot of people and they're like, well, I did an email blast 6 months ago and I didn't hear anything back. You're like, no, because they're busy people and we're all busy people. And, you've got to kind of look at it from, if you're looking for a web designer, let's say, think of it in that way. You're looking to get a new website done. Okay, so somebody who contacted you 6 months ago, you're not going to remember them. They need to continue to kind of just check in with you. How are you? Oh, just wondered if you wanted to have a website done, And so when you look at it from the other way, we have to continue to check in with people and just say hi and be nice. Don't hassle people, but just be nice. That's it.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. I love that. Just be nice.
Yes, that's really important, and really important on social media as well. Everybody, be nice on social media.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for being authentic and credible, and really just showing who you are, because it's not just about the service. Like people, you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people in a very small, often uncomfortable space.
Yes.
So they need to know they can get along with you, right?
Yeah, definitely. And we all want to work with people we know, like, and trust. And so what you want to be doing with your marketing is to build that trust, build that, that they feel like they know you, so that they can trust you. Because they, and it's the same with agents, with any producer, any casting director. They're always, there's always a time pressure. There's always a kind of somebody else in the chain that they're trying to impress as well. So it's about working and being part of the team and knowing that you are part of a bigger process. You're part of a, sometimes, when you're in a video game, for instance, you're a part of a huge, or an animation film. It's a huge machine, and you are a very important, but a small cog in that huge thing. And I think also that's really important to know and to recognize and to make sure that, when everybody you work with, everybody in that chain you work with, you be super, super nice to, because often the sound engineer is key. Sound engineers can get you work, and they can lose you jobs as well. So being nice to sound engineers is really important.
I wanted to ask you also just some general things on voice and dispelling this myth. Like, so a lot of people that are new to the industry feel you have to be able to do a million voices.
Oh yeah.
How do you connect with your demographic? How do you make the most of your natural voice? What kind of tips would you give around that?
Okay, yeah. So I know. So it used to be that, you had to kind of come up with all these crazy voices. And back in the day, when I started in the industry 18 years ago, the fashion was very much the voiceover voice, and it was all very salesy, and we were all kind of going up and down and all this kind of stuff. And then that changed. It's now all about the natural voice. And when people say the natural voice, it is literally your speaking voice. So the way that you talk naturally is what casting directors and producers want. That's what they're looking for. And I've spoken to lots of casting directors, one in particular, Mary Lynn Wisner, and she said it drives her mad because she'll speak to an actor in the waiting room, and she'll be like, oh, I really like their voice. And then as soon as they get in front of the microphone, they suddenly put on this voice, and she's like, no, I don't want that voice. I want your voice. And it's quite an interesting one, because the natural voice was very difficult for a lot of voiceover artists to break out of. So a lot of us who were old school, who were used to doing this voiceover voice, it was actually quite difficult to break out of that. And I had training to get out of it. And you are being booked for your voice, yes, but it's not really actually necessarily about the sound of your voice. And I think this is where people they can get it wrong. They can think, oh, well, I've got a nice sounding voice, so I should do voiceovers. And that's not really what books work. It's about how you interpret the script. It's about how you communicate, because that's what we are as voiceover artists. We are communicators. And whether it's, we're, educating people, inspiring people, informing them, entertaining them, whatever it is, we are communicating. So your communication skills are absolutely essential. You need to be a brilliant communicator. Yes, character voices, that's great. That's like the cherry on the top, I think, or unless that's your thing, because there are different types of voiceovers. And yes, there are people who are amazing at accents and amazing at character voices, and that's great. But actually, the majority of voiceover work is you are being booked for your voice. And your personality as well. So, my briefs always come through as, bubbly, friendly, smiley, all that kind of stuff. Very rarely do I get something that comes through as dramatic and sad and mean. But that's just kind of, that's my voice is my interpreter of my kind of, it's almost like you're in your soul. We're all coming from, if I go a bit too woo-woo, but bring me back. But this is a chakra, and so we're communicating through a really beautiful, beautiful part of our body that comes from our soul, and everything we've ever done in our life informs the way that we communicate, informs the way that we read copy, and that nobody else sounds like you. So every single one of us sound completely unique. And I know that and I remember coming across and having this realization after years of trying to get an agent and being denied because they had one of me. And they would always say, oh, we've already got one of you. And I was like, but that doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense because nobody has one of you. And so, and knowing that you are completely unique, you know, your voice is beautiful. All of our voices are beautiful. So you just need to become really, really familiar with your voice. I think that's really important. And not to try to put on anything too much. Obviously, if you know, but voice acting is all acting as well. But just being confident, I think that's probably what it is. It's the confidence to be able to stand in front of a microphone and be natural is something that's key. And I think in terms of getting that confidence, I think training and experience. So the more work you can get, the more training you can, and if you can't, you know, if you're not being booked for work, you should be training. So if you you know, should be training, spending as much money as you can on investing in yourself, in your business, and your business is you, and training this. And it's not just about the training this, it's about getting the confidence so that when you're in the studio and you know, let's say you're in a video game and you've been booked for a particular role, and the casting director says, okay, we've got 2 other characters, what can you give me? Can you do a Scottish accent? And you're like, well, I can't do a Scottish, but I can do an Irish. Okay, great. But you need to have kind of practiced that to a point that you can go, you know, you can safely say in a recording situation, yes, I can do an Irish, or I can do, you know, whatever else it is, being kind of versatile. But yeah, I think owning you and owning your voice and knowing, you know, listen to yourself and practice and train.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Yeah. And so once you figure out how to work your natural voice, what demographic you connect with, and you're out there hitting people, where's a nice starting point with regards to sourcing clients? People either go pay to play, look at an agent, or try and hustle it themselves. What would you recommend?
Okay, so yes, there are various different places that you can get work. Agents is one. Now, agents are fantastic, and I love agents. But you don't have to have an agent. So that's just one thing. You don't have to have an agent. But if you do have an agent, look after them, be kind to them, be nice. They're very busy, but it's a really, really important relationship, and it is a business relationship that you have with your agent. So communicate with them. So yeah, agents are a great way to get work, and they get the higher paid jobs. So the commercials, the big AAA video games, things like that, they will be able to bring you. And also they're brilliant at negotiating. So they can help you even if you get your own work. It's sometimes worth putting it through an agent because they can often get you more. The other thing about agents to think about is that with home studios, especially at the moment, we've all got a home studio set up. If you haven't, you should have one. It opens up the world. So you don't just have to think about having an agent in the UK if you're UK based. I have 2 agents in the States. So I've got an agent in LA. I haven't got any agents in other parts of the world. I've got an agent in Europe as well. So you can go and get agents. I know people who've got agents in New Zealand and Australia, and so that's quite exciting because then you're different, and they, often they'll be like, they don't have one of you. So that's agents. Pay to play sites, I am not a fan of. There are a few reasons. I used to be on pay to play sites, but there's a few of them that have misbehaved quite badly.
Let's have a chat about that. What do you mean by that?
Okay. So you pay. So pay to play sites. So you pay to have a profile on their site. Then they send you auditions, which then you audition for, and then you have to bid for that job. So they don't set a rate for that job. Now the problem with that is that it can vary hugely. So that's one thing. So it can drive rates down. The other thing is that we know of a particular pay-to-play site who, what they've been doing is they've been managing jobs. And so the client will come to them, let's say, with £5,000 for a commercial. They will then put out the audition and get the talent to bid for that job. So then let's say, for instance, a talent bids and wins, and they bidded £500. That pay-to-play site keeps all that money. And we know that for a fact that has been happening.
Wow.
I don't think I can get in trouble for saying voices.com. Just don't go anywhere near them.
Okay.
They've been really, really bad, and they are known in the industry. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for saying that. But anyway,
No, I think
you know.
it's important. I think it's important for the integrity of what we're doing to be honest
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
We have a duty of care. We have to protect the people
definitely.
that we're working with,
Yeah,
in our communities to ensure
definitely.
that.
So pay-to-play sites, I would be very careful of. I know that, and I was on them for a time. I came off them because I felt like I wasn't being respected as a performer and as an artist. But I do think that there are some questionable people running a few of them who are making a lot of money and aren't worried about the industry or the individuals. So so pay-to-play sites I'm not a fan of. There are other things called casting sites that I do recommend, and they are sites where you apply to be on. You don't pay them any money. They just take. It's like an agent, but it's kind of not as intimate as an agent. So there are sites like Vaquent and voicebooking.com and Voice Archive, and there are a bunch of websites like that. So I would recommend going onto those websites. You do have to apply to be on them, and then if you get on them, then they send you work. So that's a good way to get work. The other way to get work is just to go out there and build your list. So as an actor, as a voiceover artist, you should have a list of contacts, people that you have worked with and people that you want to work with. Every time you contact someone, you need to record all that information on either a spreadsheet or a CRM, which is a customer relationship management, and you can look them up online. There are lots of different ones like MailChimp. I think Nimble is one of them. There's loads. And that way, they're actually great because you can put in people's details, and then every time you contact them, you can go in and you can update that. But in terms of, you can just literally, and I say this to people, I say, if you're not getting work, you should spend an hour every day sitting on Google looking for production companies. And again, if you get into a regular habit of doing that 1 hour a day, and it should be like early in the day, so you don't get distracted by other things. So maybe the first hour of every day, you sit down and you go, right, this is my hour, start, finish. Okay, I am going to go onto Google and look for, video game producers, game development companies, or audiobook producers, telephone on hold companies, production houses, and just get on Google, look them up, find their website, and contact them, whether you pick up the phone or you send them an email, and then record all that information, and then just follow up, keep following up, make sure you're following them on social media. And if you do that every day, you will build up a huge contacts list, and then you'll be able to kind of know, okay, they don't use voiceover artists, get rid of them. And you'll find the companies that are more responsive. And then once you've got a list of your clients, you keep contacting them, because the easiest and quickest way for any of us to get work is contacting our existing clients.
Super packed value there.
I know, you can't stop me. Once I get going, I'm like this. I just want to give away everything I know in my head.
That's awesome. I love that. How do people find out about what you're doing and how to sign up and how to get involved? And
yes, fantastic. So the VoiceOver Network. So if you would like to come and join the VoiceOver Network. So I'm the founder of the VoiceOver Network, and I'm also editor of the Buzz magazine. And the Buzz magazine is the only magazine in the world dedicated to the voiceover industry. And I think, there we go, look at that. I've got one here. So this, it's a jam-packed magazine full of inspiring articles, reviews, information. So yes, I've got that. So when you join the VoiceOver Network, you get a subscription to the Buzz magazine as part of your membership. You also get access to loads of online resources, loads of videos, training. You get access to online workshops. You get access to our events. We have in-person and online events and workshops. As I said, you get subscription to the Buzz magazine. You get access to our members-only Facebook group, which is the best Facebook group, and you can go in at any time and ask any questions. You get a profile page. You get, we do a Von workout group once a month. We do voice reel critiques once a month. You get discounts on our partners' products and services. Plus, you get a one-to-one with our sound engineer to help with your home studio. So there's a fair amount going on. It is a £49 joining fee and then £29 a month. So yes, that's it basically. What I could do is have you got an email list of this?
I absolutely do.
You do? Okay, so what I'll do is I will send, I will give you a special offer that will remove the £49 joining fee completely. And then, because of, what's going on in the world and everything, it's all a bit crazy. I'd love you to come in and try the VoiceOver Network and see if it's for you. And if it is for you, great. And if it isn't, that's no worries. So what we'll do for the first month, we'll make it just £5.
You cannot get better than that. And we really appreciate you being able to offer that to the Success Tips members. It's fantastic.
Wonderful.
And you're fantastic. I'm not just saying that. I'm not the type of guy that does that. Always such great energy, always forward thinking outside the box about how to connect people and move things forward. And that's what we need. That's what we need, especially as creative people.
Definitely.
So thank you for that. And thank you for your energy. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we go?
No, just that we've got lots of workshops, online workshops happening at the VoiceOver Network. So if you come to our website, thevoiceovernetwork.co.uk, we've got lots of different workshops happening at the moment, including kind of getting started in voiceovers. We've got some a home studio setup workshop as well. So if you want to, if you've just set up your home studio or you're thinking of setting up and you just don't know where to start, we've got an amazing workshop going on, and we've got loads of workshops coming up, so keep an eye out. So just go and check them out, and good stuff. Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.